Morning, good morning. It is good morning. How are ya? How you doing? It's a beautiful start, at least where I am in Seminole County, but others are starting off with a little bit of a rougher start. Good morning to you. I'm first warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week in the mornings to chat about what's going on in the world of weather. And boy, there is a lot to chat about on this June 1st. The first day of hurricane season. The top two things we are monitoring. First, a weather pattern that is turning wetter. And it has to do with tracking the tropics. Yeah, as I mentioned, it's a little bit of a busy start to the day. So let's take you outside and just kind of check in to see what's doing. Right now, I'm looking and I see nothing but blue sky out my window. If you're in Brevard County, though, this is what you see. It is gray, it is dreary, and at the end of the day, it's a little stormy too. This is a look at Cocoa, looking over toward, believe it or not, it's Port Canaveral, like there. It's off in the distance, but there's a downpour that's moving in. So let's get right over to our first warning live Doppler radar, and I'll lapse this, and you can see we're doing fine in most of town. But over here in Brevard County, that's where we're watching some of these heavier downpours around. Cocoa Beach. The good news is this stuff is gradually weakening, but it's still downpour action there. You can kind of see this was even putting out some higher reflectivities over Vieira a little bit ago. Could have seen a little bit of gusty winds and even perhaps some small hail, but at this point, that has weakened. Now just some very heavy rainfall. If we come up to the north, you kind of see where we were looking. That's our tower cam network shot is like right here. And we were looking over toward Port Canaveral, Cape Canaveral, and obviously there's that little downpour there that we were tracking. But nevertheless, good heavy rains there. We'll head further to the south where it's pouring over I-95 from about Vieira here down through Pineda Causeway area, Turtle Mound Road, and then a little quieter down around Lake Washington. But that's what we're watching in Brevard County. Did have some showers up here in Volusia a little bit ago. Those have since kind of faded on out. And frankly, the rest of our area is not looking too bad. Just have a little bit of that rain that we have to deal with. All right, let me switch sources. Do this. Want to show you the Florida satellite and radar. It's loading. Hey, computer's a little grumpy this morning. That's okay. Where is that Florida shot? Maybe I'm just grumpy. Maybe my brain isn't working. All right, this is what I was trying to show you. So let's talk about the overall weather pattern, all right? We've got this area of low pressure out in the Gulf of Mexico, and if you're a weather nerd, you know low pressure basically is just a storm system. But in this case, it may be a little something extra, okay? What it's kind of doing is it's helping to funnel up moisture. And certainly South Florida saw flooding rains yesterday. I think into today, we're going to start to see that threat for flooding rains. So let's look at our 12-hour forecast, all right? And for the day today, we'll watch things going up to about 84 degrees by 1 o'clock, 86 degrees by 3 o'clock this afternoon. And we'll watch that 50 to 60% coverage of seeing those showers and those thunder showers. Do I think that anything's going to get too strong? More than likely not. But I do think that we're going to at least have the opportunity to see some decent rains around Central Florida today. Main timeline is going to be around lunchtime into the afternoon, and then into tonight, things will gradually start to fade on out. So there's that. Frank says, we saw flooding rains yesterday and some crazy lightning. Oh, for sure. For sure. The West Coast definitely saw the activity predominantly, like the West Coast and the southern areas, definitely the majority yesterday. Priscilla says, good morning. Rain in Davenport timeframe. I have to cut 2.5 acres of grass. So, of course, yes, we will get you taken care of. Let's dial up our Futurecast model. Which, you know what's funny? Yesterday, if I may add, the Futurecast model was mostly dry, and I was here saying I don't think Futurecast has a great handle on things. Lo and behold, maybe Futurecast had the best handle of it because Futurecast ended up doing the best out of yesterday's difficult to forecast weather scenario. Love it when a plan comes together. Hate it when I don't track it. Yeah. All right, so here we are. This is 1 o'clock this afternoon. There's Futurecast. Seeing the green dots showing up, kind of widespread. So you're asking about Davenport. It looks like early afternoon we'll start to see the rains spreading into your area. Heaviest stuff looks to be around dinner time or so. And look at that. Through about 7, 8, 9 o'clock, we'll kind of start to see this working back over toward the East Coast areas. All right. Chris says, went on a long-awaited, much-needed date with my bride last night and missed the hurricane special. Is a replay possible? I know that most of it, if not all of it, is available on our hurricane section of wesh.com. So you should be able to dial in there and get the information. Yeah, it's definitely a good piece of information. And because you mentioned that, we are now 0 days away from the start of the Atlantic hurricane season. Woof. Woof. Here we are. That said, there is something to track. That little thing in the Gulf of Mexico that we were chatting about, guess what? Development chances are rising. This is an invest. Let me introduce you to Tropical Wave Invest 91 out in the Gulf of Mexico. Highlighted there in orange because the development chances have now come up. We are now looking at a 50% chance of tropical development here over the next 2 days' time. Hurricanes, and I'll just read it to you vis-a-vis because that's the way we roll here on Coffee Talk. Let me move. Stand by. Let me read. Too many daggum tweets. Okay, this is the tropical weather outlook. Now, you know, sometimes we get a little nerdier than others here on Coffee Talk, and that's cool. That's cool. Loading. All right. Northeastern Gulf of Mexico, AL91, that guy. Showers and thunder showers associated with an area of low pressure over the northeastern Gulf of Mexico have increased and become better organized during the overnight hours. That's a little wordy. Environmental conditions appear marginally favorable for additional development over the next day or so, and a short-lived tropical depression or storm could form over that time as the system meanders over the northeastern Gulf of Mexico. However, by this weekend, environmental conditions are forecast to become unfavorable for additional development as the system drifts southward, likely remaining offshore over the Gulf of Mexico. That has changed. The models have changed since we had chatted during the morning coffee talk yesterday. An Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft is scheduled to investigate this system later today if necessary. Regardless of development, locally heavy rain could occur over portions of the Florida Peninsula during this weekend. Additional information on the rainfall, yada, 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 yada. Okay, so that's where we're at, my friends. This area of low pressure has started to look better organized, and as the hurricane hunters are on standby, let's look at the schedule, because over the course of the day today, we've got one mission that could head in there later this afternoon, around 3 o'clock or so. All right, and then by tomorrow morning, if that's a needed thing, they could fly in tomorrow morning and as well tomorrow afternoon. Okay, so hurricane hunters are set, ready to go. The good news here is that we are not in the peak of hurricane season, so this is not going to like explode. This isn't going to become any kind of a massive thing. It's going to sit there and bubble. I think it's a good opportunity for us to remember that hurricane season is here. But another thing that's kind of interesting, you know, it's got its convection, but there's all this other mess of convection out east of us that is unorganized, but is something to watch. Now, our model's not really doing much with it, but there you go. So there's Invest 91. All right, kind of lifting up to the north, doing its thing. When it comes to models, okay, it really depends on which model you look at. Okay, so here's, for example, the spaghetti plots. Oh my God, it's the first day of hurricane season. We're already showing this stuff. So the thought process here, at least of the models, and Futurecast was really one of the first to key in on this, but all the models yesterday afternoon started doing this. The idea is that the storm system kind of drifts further to the south and kind of loops around and then off of our east coast eventually. We'll have to pay attention. It's definitely running rains into Central Florida. You know, it's kind of funny. And when I say it's kind of funny, it's like, it's just the first day of hurricane season. So there you go. Either way, we're looking at rainfall in Central Florida, not expecting anything concerning, okay? So let's look at our Futurecast model on a wider perspective, all right? And just kind of, I'll run it through and then we can stop and go and stop and go. Priscilla says, no spaghetti, please. I know I'm an anti-pasta guy nowadays, right? All right, so watch as it's rolling, kind of rolling, doing its thing. There's tomorrow morning. Starting to have more of a concentric look, starting to have more of a circulation look. So that's where the Hurricane Center is thinking, yeah, you know, we may have some development there. Kind of wrapping down toward Cuba, perhaps. And then kind of hanging out. That's as far as Futurecast goes, is hanging out around Cuba. Really interesting, right? What a pain in the neck. I just laugh because it's like we're already here. This is where we are. We're like we're 8 hours into hurricane season. We're already using our suite of model products. Yeah. No matter what happens, though, no matter what happens here, important to note that we're looking at the chance for some flooding rains in Central Florida, okay? Today and tomorrow, we are going to be watching for a low-end threat of flooding. And when we look at the rain coverage around Central Florida today, it's a high rain coverage. There you go. There's your rain coverage. There's your sign. The further south you live, basically the Orlando metro area south, lots of rain. The further north you go, we're going to be dried out just a little bit. Yeah. Are we having fun yet? Are you not entertained? Oh, and by the way, just to add insult to injury, the humidity's back. Now, we do get back into some comfy air as this area of low pressure kind of swings around a little bit, but for the next couple of days, we're definitely in that shower, thunderstorm, heavy downpour kind of scenario. That's just where we're at. Good times. All right, questions, comments, concerns. Let me scroll up because there have been many, many, many questions. Let's see here. You're an impasta, Mike. Waka waka. Brian, at what point during tropical storms development are the hurricane hunters ordered to start flight data missions about the storm? It all depends on what the Hurricane Center feels is needed. It's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. It's what they feel they need to do. Yeah. Nathan, what degree or track does one need in order to be a meteorologist? I have a degree in science, but I'm sure it needs to be more specified. Yeah, geosciences or meteorology would be the degree track. And I would imagine it wouldn't take many courses for you to get that added over there. Tiffany, is it weird for them to start in the Gulf so close? Not at all. That's a great question. Not at all. When we look at, consider this, water temperatures are warmest where? Near Florida, right? So when we look at the June formation zones for tropical systems, it's near Florida. It's the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. So in reality, this is exactly where this kind of stuff typically gets going. Around Central Florida. Beth says you live for this. I mean, my wife isn't happy about it because every time there's tropical stuff, the laptop goes everywhere we go. And no matter what, it's like, no matter what, we have to add in extra work. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see here. What will they do if something reaches Tropical Storm or Cat 1? It's this that tunes people out. Well, why do you say that, Nancy? Why would you say that it's this that tunes people out? I'm curious. And Nancy, I adore you. You know that. But I'm curious. Help me understand what you mean by that. What will they do if this becomes a tropical storm or a Cat 1? I guess that's my thing. I just want to understand. Nikki says the projected direction seems unusual. They don't typically move south when they form in the Gulf, do they? Correct. But remember, this is the first day of hurricane season, so we're still kind of in this spring-esque pattern. We haven't gotten to a full-on summertime pattern where the trade winds take over. We're still kind of in frontal zone, and there's still fronts around. Janice says you entertain us on a daily basis. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good morning to you. Sharon, I'm so confused. Is it going south? It kind of is. It kind of is going south a little bit, yeah. David says Hurricane Special was well done. So sad to see that so many people are still dealing with their losses. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Chris, multiple people. Weak systems are hard to forecast. That as well. Yeah. Laura says the Hurricane Special was great. Sometimes little man watches Coffee Talk with me, and when he saw you on TV, pointed out and said, and ran like he saw his buddy. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. Mike says, even if this doesn't form too big, it's a good time to practice that hurricane prep and give it a dry run. That is true in more ways than not, because, for me, it's like, all right, do I have the tropical graphics all put together, right? So it's a dry run for all of us. Yeah. Janice says, have laptop will travel. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Good gravy. Good times. Not you or Wesh, the National Hurricane Center spaghetti. Help me continue on, Nancy. I just want to understand what you're trying to say. Give me like a declarative statement just so that I can understand. Susie says the caption scroll is blocking the video, so I have to turn the screen to landscape, so I miss all of the comments. Thus started a few days ago. Anyone know if I could turn the caption off? You should be able to. Yeah, Susie, if you're on your phone, look for the 3 dots, and you should be able to select that and then turn off the captioning. So, yeah. Thomas says, so now it's not coming to Florida. Okay, couple things. Weak systems are impossible to forecast. This is like a weak system, so there's that. Another thing is, even if it does develop, it's still bringing a ton of rain to Florida. It's not a matter of, this is not like a hurricane where it's going to be moving through. As a matter of fact, the quote from the Hurricane Center is, environmental conditions appear marginally favorable for additional development over the next day or so, and a short-lived tropical depression or storm could form over that time span. So we're not expecting anything big, but it could do something little, yeah. Is this the Nicole part of the pattern, or is it the stuff off of our East Coast, since that's where Nicole was? We'll have to wait and see, Mickey. I know we're in the Nicole part of the pattern. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that's the difficult part of watching the long-range stuff. I mean, if you just look at the satellite as it stands, a lot of moisture on either coast. So, and the organization is over the Gulf, but the majority of the moisture and cold cloud tops and convection, that's out east. So, who knows? Could there be a second area of low pressure that tries to form out east? We'll have to wait and see, Yeah. But this is what we're watching right now over the Gulf of Mexico. Cheryl says, my concern is my flight Saturday out of Clearwater, hoping for not too much rain. I mean, yeah, I get you. I like your new extended background and seeing you with all the added pixels. Hey, it's, we're always trying to up Coffee Talk. Coffee Talk is now full 1920 by 1080, and it's kind of interesting. I was looking at it's like literally we added an additional 30% or 35% pixels. So it's definitely more resolution now. Now, can you tell that I didn't shave? Can you tell that? Yeah. Haha. Laura says, weak systems are hard to forecast. Are we able to pin comments? We're not. At least I don't have that control. But yes, I get that. What about winds? You talked about rain. This is not a hurricane, okay? It's going to develop some gusty downpours, just like any other afternoon during the summertime. You know what I mean? Kenneth, am I the only person whose Facebook keeps making Eric Burris and the screen he's sharing look like a color film negative every so often? I have no errors on my side, so I don't know. Yeah. My brother says, yes, he can pin a comment. I think I can afterward, but I can't during the live broadcast. Yeah. Kevin, that's funny. Yeah. I used to be able to pin the comments. It's just, Facebook's always messing around with stuff. Yeah. Debbie's asking, can you explain to Coffee Talk people what an invest actually is? Yes. Okay. So let's look at the formation of tropical systems, okay? The different phases of formation, all right? So think of it like this. We yesterday had a tropical wave bubbling in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, guess what happened? That tropical wave was something that grabbed the National Hurricane Center's attention. So what they did was they tagged it in their computer system, okay? And by tagging it in the computer system, it changed it to an invest. Tropical wave or an invest. Same thing. All it means is that in the computer system, we're able to run computer models. That's all. That's the only difference to that product whatsoever. Okay? So, it's a tropical wave. It's not a tropical depression, not a tropical storm, not a hurricane. It's an area that they want to investigate. So all it means is, something kind of interesting there. They're running computer models. That's it. It's not even a tropical depression. It's the key points here. It's an unorganized area of moisture. It's not even a tropical depression where it's organized. So we'll watch it and see, but that unorganized moisture is going to bring a whole lot of rain to Central Florida over the next couple of days' time, right? And this was the point. They wanted to run the computer models. That way we could kind of get some data and we could get to a position where we could throw in a recon aircraft, throw in a recon aircraft and put more data into the hurricane models. Yeah, but it's not a hurricane. It's not expected to become a hurricane. None of the models are doing that. Chaos. How will the invests affect driving conditions from Orlando to Tallahassee this weekend? It's just going to add some rain, but we're in the summer months, so it's just going... Think of it like this. It's going to aid or help in rain development. That's all. We can handle that. Yeah. We get that every day during the summertime, so keep everything in perspective. Mike, since the Invest came out at 8 a.m., would it be best to wait until next model updates to look at it? The Invest was tagged yesterday afternoon. So no, we've got a couple of model runs, yeah. Thomas, if the winds get up to 35 miles an hour, then it can become a potential tropical cyclone. If it's expected to impact land while it's growing, that's the PTC guidelines. All right, so we're not there. All right. Maria says, of course it's a rain out this weekend. I'm moving back home. How far north will the rain start for us driving from the Midwest? So listen, wow, I mean, driving in from the Midwest, listen, I'll show you Futurecast, but you just have to understand, big systems like this, they're sloppy. They're just sloppy in nature, all right? So here's kind of tomorrow morning, and you can see plenty of moisture around, particularly Central Florida and South Florida, right? I'll bring it full screen for you. All right, then through tomorrow evening, as that area of low pressure, kind of center of your screen, drops to the south. For now, our Saturday doesn't look to be too bad. It's just going to continue to aid in bringing in moisture for the weekend forecast. Sunday, showers and thunder showers, right? Clearing out, and then Monday looks to be a little drier. Tuesday looks to be a little drier, right? And then into Wednesday, and that's as far out as Futurecast like long range goes. But, the weekend, at least for now, is starting to trend little by little drier and drier and drier. So that's good. That's good for any kind of plans that we may have. And with that, let me pop up our 7-day forecast. you'll notice starting off the pattern pretty wet, but then we will dry out looking ahead to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Yeah, so today's kind of the stormiest of the lot, and then as this area of low pressure drifts south, particularly if it starts developing, it's going to act like a shower drain and pull all of the moisture into the center. But I'm not changing any plans. It's summer in Central Florida, or at least the summertime weather pattern in Central Florida. This is the way it goes. All right? Dustin over on YouTube is asking, hey, is it possible to watch the hurricane special again? Wasn't sure if it was posted on YouTube or Facebook. I believe so. If we, let me do this. Let's do this together. All right. So wesh.com. And if I hit hurricanes, I believe... okay, right there. Surviving the season, right there in the bottom, right? You see that there in the bottom of the screen? Surviving the season. If you click that, this should be, yeah, well, listen, we gotta, I don't make money individually off this, but at the end of the day, stations gotta get paid. I've got a paycheck, so they gotta make their money. But okay, so we'll do this. Oh, did I mess it up? Well, it looks like that's how you do it. I don't know why it's not wanting to go. All right, now it's just annoying me. Let me refresh this. Let's try this again. I think, though, that this is it. Let's just see. We'll double check.
Easy. Anything that we need from you, you're able to do from the comfort of...
Yeah, well, advertisement.
And you talk to someone like me.
This is where we've seen so much flooding and devastation.
They're using...
That's my buddy Pat Gribben.
To try and get their
yeah, so you can. Head to the hurricane section of wesh.com, and you can get it all taken care of, and you can watch it and all that fun stuff. Yep, it's there. Have I ever seen a storm in the Gulf go south instead of north? Yeah, I think at this point in my career, I can say I've almost seen everything. Yeah. Do most areas get 3 inches of rain like Merritt Island? When it comes to the rainfall chances... Listen, when it comes to the rainfall chances in a tropical scenario like this, we're watching for flooding, There you go. Today and tomorrow, we're going to be watching for it. So what's Futurecast saying? Let's take a look. Where is it? All right, here's rainfall from Futurecast. Yeah, so it's showing a good chunk of the area, in the greens and the yellows. That's 1, 2, 3 inches. Some areas could get upwards of 5 inches. So there you go. You got more viewers now would be tuning in too. It's that time of the year, 6 months to go. The countdown has begun to be exactly, Priscilla. And yeah, this time of year we get more people checking in on the tropics. And if you're new here, I can assure you this is a zero hype broadcast. We'll look at all the data, but we are not going to be hyping. That's just not what we do. And if I have to yell at people to get them to stay calm, then that's what I do. All right, over to the raw model data. Let's check it out. 6Z GFS. There it is, developing a low. There's the GFS kind of trying to develop it. 1,003 millibars, 1,004, 1,004. You see it there, kind of in the Yucatan Channel there, between the Yucatan Peninsula and the western tip of Cuba, right? Then it kind of weakens and hangs out over Cuba, and that remnant moisture starts to lift up toward Florida and east of us Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Yeah. And eventually kind of move on out. So that's the GFS. And then, by Friday the 16th, maybe another thing trying to develop. So that's one of the models that we have. That's the American GFS. The European is let's see. European. All right. European, dropping that low south, 1,005, 1,004, weak. Yeah, and that's it. So both of the global models that we have are kind of doing the exact same thing, which is dropping it now south. Does that happen? Does that not happen? You know, we've got time to watch, but it's a good reminder, good opportunity to let you know hurricane season is here. Like it or not, here it is. Yeah. Good times. Good times. Correction. Where's the closest frontal system? Okay, so a frontal system, it's attached to a stationary front, but it's not tropical or subtropical right now. And as it develops, you can see that stationary front is weakening. It's now become a front trough. So it's losing its frontal characteristics, which is a big thing to study in terms of its tropical in nature. It's no longer tied to a front, so that's one of the things we had over the weekend. Yeah. Mike Vera says, for you weather nerds like me, tropicaltidbits.com is an excellent site to look at the models. That it is. Yeah. All right, so Claire says, newbie here to Connecticut and Florida. What is in Nicole part of the pattern? So when we do our long-range forecasting, the way that our long-range forecasting works, okay, is that it's based on yearly weather patterns that set up during October and November. And during that time frame, we look at major weather players that took place. So, for example, this year, we logged a whole bunch of areas of low pressure and watched them. This year, it's every 50, 51, 52 days. Loop over and over and over again. And that gives us a chance to call out hot spots for tropical landfalls, among other things. And so the Nicole part of the pattern is just the part of the pattern that was Hurricane Nicole last year. That's the current part of the pattern that we're in right now. This is like a wet, soggy mess, so its organization isn't there. But the Nicole part of the pattern going forward is the east coast of Florida. And over these next few days, this is the Nicole part of the pattern. And we see a big mass of moisture out east of Florida. July 19th through the 25th, same time frame for the same type of weather pattern, and then September 8th through the 14th. So that's what it is. It's like everything else. It's not a perfect science, but it's a technique that I've had some significant luck with, and we're going to continue to use that. You can, by the way, before I go back to the 7-day forecast, you can read more on our long-range hurricane forecast by heading to wesh.com/hurricane forecast. All right. Laura, what time will it start raining in my house? Drink. There you go. Yeah. Brian, I know it's too early now, but usually when does the Saharan dust start to determine how many storms form? It's not, the Saharan dust, just as it blows off, it hampers storm development, but it's not like we base forecasts on it much. Like right now, we're looking at the fact that there's a very active monsoonal flow coming off Africa, not throwing a ton of Saharan dust. So, the Saharan dust is there, right? But it's out over the area that doesn't develop tropical systems early in the season, and it doesn't really propagate our direction until like June 10th. And at that point in time, the part of the weather pattern should be a little quieter. So, we'll see how it plays out. Patty, are thunderstorms and rain going to reach Palm Coast, or am I too far north? I'm not yelling. I just can't get your attention with all the comments you have coming. Well, that's one way to do it. Except if everybody starts doing that, then it becomes not as effective. You're definitely going to be among the drier areas, but you've got a medium chance. Like there's some opportunity for some rain, but yeah, I would think that the best chance of rain is definitely further south. Maria says, I love that they started with Pat's voice. Good people. Great people. The greatest of people. Pat's one of those people I'm so upset that he retired. Selfish guy. Just kidding. But I do miss him. Yeah. All right. Shout out to those of us that are year-round coffee talkers. Yeah, the numbers are going to be going up these next few months, but that's okay. Listen, for those of you that hang out year-round, thank you. Good morning. You all make my day better. But for those of you that come during hurricane season, welcome. We'll be tracking storms with a zero hype mentality the entire hurricane season long. Just cannot believe that we're already there. So there you go. All right. All right. Mickey says it's that time of year again to monitor the MJO. You're not wrong. Oh, I have to dust my brain off. Okay. Wendy, can the year-round people get a fast pass for questions? If I had a way to do it, right? All right. My apologies. I don't have a way to do it or to pin comments. Oh, well. All right, listen. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. Priscilla, hang out, and I'm not even on your map. Southeast Polk. Oh, yeah, you're technically in the Tampa area. But, I try to put, you're ish in the maps. Ish. Taylor, we need a secret stream for the regulars. That's too funny. I'll pay Genie Plus for direct questions. Don't tell the boss. All right, listen. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Cindy, love you too. We will chat at 3:30. Check in on the latest models. And at that point, maybe there's a Hurricane Hunter up. We'll see. All right, be good, you all. Take care. See you in a couple hours. Bye.